Welcome, welcome, welcome to another edition of All Ball Chicago. I'm your co-host, Robert Bobby Reed, and I got the legend, the MVP veteran, the McDonald All-American, the big fella, your host, Marcus Liberty. But we got a special guest in here today, one of Mississippi's finest, one of my favorite point guards in NBA history, two-time SEC back-to-back player of the year, Mr. Basketball in Mississippi, NBA first round, McDonald All-American. Welcome, Mahmoud Abdul Rauf to the building. Oh, boy, what's up, boy?
Hey, man, how you doing, man? Thanks for having me, man.
I know I'll be all hyped and stuff, but
that's what you do, man. That's what you do.
I'll be hyped, live.
That's right.
Now everybody can hear each other pretty good, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, man, Mahmoud, me and you came in together, man. We did a lot of great things, and I just wanted to, get you on, man, so you can talk to some of the little shorties that watch you, do your thing. And also, I'm going to be asking you questions, man, about, like, how you actually taught me that move, your crossover, that pull-up jump shot. We worked on it a couple of times in practice, man, but I couldn't master it like you had it. So, just, talk to our fans a little bit, man, and, tell them a little bit about yourself.
Oh, man, from Gulfport, Mississippi, man. Single family home. Obviously no father. Man, went to Gulfport High School. Had a dream like most children, man, trying to make it. Decided at the age of 10 to start waking up like 4 o'clock in the morning, being on the floor at 5, was hungry. The ball just bounced my way, man. Started being invited to a lot of different camps. Did some great things through elementary, junior high, high school. Ended up going to a Nike camp when I was in high school, going into my 11th and 12th grade year. There was a scout that was there that had never given anyone a 5. He was the toughest scout in history. I don't know since then, but during that time, 2 years in a row, he gave me the highest 5 score, man. And 1 year Jordan was there. I had a little one-on-one, a 2-possession one-on-one game with him. Scored on him fairly easy. And then I just pretty much made my, way into the rankings of being the top guard in the nation, man, and decided to go to LSU. And
I was, I was at that camp too, man. I remember that. That, man. And one thing I can tell, what I can say about you, man, you always had that confidence. Like, I was afraid to go out there. You was like, yeah, I'm going, I got to break his mic, but I was afraid to go out there. I think you went out there and another guy went out there that played at Pittsburgh. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I can't either, yeah.
Yeah, but you always had that confidence, man, when you played the game. And I even watched some of your videos, Mahmoud, like recently when you said, I practice the way I want to practice, not the way you guys think I should be practicing. Could you elaborate a little bit on that? What was your thought process about when you said that?
Yeah, man. A lot of people, as well as I do, Liv. People are looking at you from the outside in, man, and people love to put you in boxes, right? What a point guard should be, the things, how you should play. And for me, man, I never wanted to be put in a box. It's this thing about following tradition, right? Even when you're doing jab steps or, shooting your shot, and you should only shoot it this way, you should not shoot it that way. And I'm like, look, man, the more versatile you are, the more you have in your arsenal, the more valuable you are. And I just didn't want to limit myself, whether it was range, whether it was angles. And so that's just what I meant by that. Just not allowing yourself to put yourself in a box or anybody else to put you in a box. Wow. And just thinking of different creative ways of getting your shot off of because, especially me being technically 5'11" and a half, man, and coming out there with guys like yourself, you have to be able to keep a guy off balance. You have to look right. And while you looking right, go left. You have to look down while you going up for your shot. You have to always try to find ways to keep them off balance. If you just old regular, simple, man, you're not going to make it.
Wow. Hey, that is so
Wow.
interesting, man. That is so interesting that you say that, man, because I don't think a lot of players think like that, Mahmoud. I really don't. You know, that was just some knowledge that I think you're going to give a lot of our listeners, because I think a lot of people do practice the basic robot, one stop, one pull up. I'm a shot fake. I'm gonna do a little jab, but I'm not going to try to fake you out. You know, so I think what you just said, man, is interesting, and I think it's going to help a lot of young kids, man, to start being who they are and not what people think they should be.
But also, man, sending the message to coaches, right? Because I think a lot of players. I mean, think about it, Liv. Even when you and I, when you can imagine yourself on the playground, or you can imagine yourself outside of the Denver Nuggets practice, and you're able to hop. You know how when you play at the end, and you're doing all type of stuff, and you dribbling. If coaches could look at that, and that's something that I used to do as a young boy, man, in elementary school, it just resonated early. I said, man, these guys don't really know what you can do. And you have to train the mind to get used to seeing stuff. You hear coaches sometimes like, don't do that, right? And the reason a lot of them say that is because they don't see you doing it in practice. So my thing is, I'll get in practice, and when we're not practicing, when I'm out there shooting, I'm leaning, I'm doing all type of stuff, because day by day, you looking at me, you never know who's watching. And you're like, hold on, man, he's making that shot. He can actually do that. So now when you're in the game and you happen to pull it off, even if you miss, they're so accustomed to seeing you do that in practice, it doesn't look foreign to them.
That's deep. That's deep.
And so I was doing that early. Constantly like, hold on, man. I see him making it in practice. When he's working on that thing all the time. Yeah. And that's something that a lot of young people don't do. I said, you have to train these coaches' minds and their eyes to see it as normal.
So in other words, you're saying the coaches need to open up their minds too, and their thought process of helping, our kids, be who they want to be, which is, a true basketball player, being creative,
We didn't do that, Liv. We back now, when you look at the game, you look at people like Kyrie and Chris Paul, and they out there they're playing playground ball within a 5-man, setup, and they're free. And so think about it, man. After practice, when we can go out and we playing a 3-on-3, and the coaches aren't telling us to run, man, we out there dancing and throwing zip passes in the game. In the game, if you do that, you showing off, right? Come on, man. This is having fun. Your energy level is totally different when you're able to play the way you want to play. So I would say it's a combination. Yeah. And you have to also at some point too, Liv, some of us, man, we wait for people to give us our freedom. Like, wait for coaches to tell us shoot or pass. You will never really stay in the league like that. You have to learn how to be like that Harriet Tubman in basketball. Denmark Vesey, Gabriel Pro. You got to go take your freedom. And sometimes, you might miss them. Sometimes, but the more they see that aggression, again, you train in the mind and the eyes to see, man, this dude is relentless. Look, and the ball may start shifting in your favor when you start, executing plays.
Go ahead, Rob.
Hey, dude, I'm just sucking it all up because he's absolutely right. Kids, coach will keep you in the box. So you probably watching James Harden right now. Like, this is the ultimate street ball player's dream, then, right? Talk about James Harden.
Man, you want to talk about a guy that can go get buckets. He can flat out do it. On the drive, he can shoot the deep ball, the mid-range ball. He plays with it. The step back move. It's look, man, it's a beautiful thing to watch. Whether you talking about James Harden, whether you talking about Curry, whether you talking about Kyrie, these guys are like having fun.
And they took that away from us when we were growing up, right, fellas?
No, for real. A lot of coaches. A lot of players, we do it to ourselves. We don't go, and I don't want to make this thing like it's all coaches, because you got to put in the work. It's a balance. You gotta show them that, look, man, I can do this. But you do have also on the other end of that, man, people stuck in their ways. They see things only their way. Then it doesn't seem like they're willing to expand. You know what I mean? And that's my thing. When I'm training somebody, even when I train people, man, I never try to put them in a box. I'm not one of those individuals. No. You want your elbows to be here. No, I say, look, if you can make it, if that's your shot, make it. But let's find a way to add to it. How can you get that thing off quicker? How can you shoot it from different angles? I ain't trying to change your shot. If you're comfortable with it, not only if you just constantly missing, and I might say, okay, let's try this or let's try that. But like you think about people like Rashard Lewis, he doesn't have no traditional shot, but he makes them. You know, back in the day, you have Jamal Wilkes, the round. He would light you up. And we got too many people trying to, again, no, this is the way to do it. This is what I want my point guard to be. Man, if you were to try to tell Isaiah Thomas, I remember going to Nike camp. Bobby Hurley's daddy looked at me and Laterro Green. He said, hold on, man, you guys are point guard. Y'all averaging 30-something a game. And he said, my point guards only get 5 shots a game. I said, well, I'm glad we from Mississippi. No, I mean, because that's the mentality I'm talking. I mean, great. He has a great history of being a coach, but it's that mentality. Sometimes your big dude ain't your go-to. Sometimes it's your forward like Jordan. Sometimes it's your guard like Isaiah. You have to play to your strengths.
Right.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. You got me hyped over here, man.
I love it, man. I wish it was live, man.
Man, we'll get him on again, though. We'll get him on again. Mahmoud, you know what, man? I did look at that, too. I was like, he averaged 30 points, a game in high school. And I used to hear stories about you and Laterro Green having battles, man. Like, and I know that's your brother, and I know you love him, but when you lace him up, you going at him.
Oh yeah, all day. And look, just like you will go at whoever your partners are. I was telling my children, I got this little my son's friend is over here, man, staying for us for about a week, and I take him to the gym early in the morning. I said, listen, man, we'll go through drills, and I said, you guys got to go one-on-one. And I said, this ain't about friendship. Yeah, you friends, but this ain't about friendship. I said, all these scars on my hand, mostly 90-some% of these scars are by my homeboys that we were playing one-on-one. It was personal. We get mad at each other. We be mad at each other after the game, but about 5 minutes or so, let's go get something to eat.
Yeah. Right.
Because that's the way we're trying to get better. And you need to demand that, look, man, I need you to push me. And I'm going to push you. I don't care if you get mad. So, but yeah, I mean, that's just the way, I mean, and they do it nowadays too, but you see more so today, a lot of quote unquote friends, they don't want to get up on each other. They don't want to push, they don't want to make each other mad. I was like, what? You don't want to get better then.
Wow. Which Mahmoud leads me to the next question I want to ask you. I know you were probably being recruited by a lot of colleges, man, but you chose to, go to LSU. What was the thought process with that? Because I know you was being recruited by a bunch of colleges.
You know what, man? When I was younger, you watching television, man, the Georgetowns, the North Carolinas, all of those schools, and you're like, man, that's where I want to go. But as you actually start going through the recruiting process, you start thinking about it's really, man, it's not about labels so much, it's about fits. What makes sense to you? Who do you think you can trust the most? Because you hear the stories. Oh, they said this, you go to this school, then all of a sudden, you don't get any playing time. But also, man, I was leery, even at that age, of coaches telling me things like, we don't know what the next second gonna bring. And so when you have a coach telling you, hey, man, you come to our organization, you're gonna play right away, boom, boom, and bam, I'm saying to myself, I didn't necessarily articulate it then, but I'm thinking to myself, I say, man, how do you know that? You don't know what type of improvement or lack of that I may have in the summer. You promising me something in the future. Wow. What if somebody working out and they outplay me, right? When I come in. I said, you can't make those promises. The thing that made the difference with me, man, and Coach Kars was, the assistant coach was really the one that sold it for me because he's the one I talked to the most. Okay. Very genuine guy, but they never promised me anything. And when they told me, they said, listen, because everybody else was, hey, this is what's gonna happen. And when they came to me, they said, look, man, we have Fess Irvin. He was a freshman, you know.
I remember Fess.
Yeah, freshman first team last year. And he said, basically, to make a long story short, look, if you come in, you do what you're supposed to do, you'll play. And I never heard that.
Wow.
And I shook his hand. I said, deal. And then we just kept talking. And I told my mother, I said, look, man, this is where I'm going. Of course, my mother wasn't happy. A lot of people associated with her wasn't happy. It was a tumultuous time, man. There were, they had to send the police when I actually signed. My mother didn't sign my letter of intent. I had to wait till I was 19 to sign it myself. The NCAA got involved because I was being threatened by people who wanted me to go to certain schools because they were anticipating getting paid. Right. And I remember telling the dude, I said, man, listen, I said, he took me for a ride on the highway. And I said, listen, he said, well, look, we want you to go here and here because they offered this. And at that time, now, granted, I think now I was a little different then, my mindset, but now after you play and you realize you don't know the business side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I'd have known better, I would have asked to get paid. because it's, you know, look, man, they're exploiting these athletes when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
But at that time, I remember being in the car with him. I said, look, man, I'm not for sale. And I said, if I'm gonna make it, my mother's gonna be taken care of. Because he tried to use my mother, you know, hey, take care of her. I said, look, I'm going to LSU. And that's it. He got upset. My mother got upset. I had to leave the home. I walked out on my mother. That's something I never really did. Like a couple of times, man. I left home a couple of times just to get away. And but I ended up signing my own letter of intent, man. And I went in, and I was just determined, man. I was hurt. I was sad because this is supposed to be one of the best times of your life, you know, signing with a school.
Oh, right.
But at the same time, I was angry. You know, I had something to prove.
Yeah.
It pissed me off, and so one thing led to another, man. And
man, that's crazy.
Here you are today. But at least you went in there with that chip on your shoulder, though.
Yeah.
You know, because that money could have put you into a place where you could have became complacent.
But you know, man, the thing too, and I would imagine, well, Marcus Lib is in a bigger. He was in a bigger city, man. So I can only imagine the talent that he and the notoriety that he was getting. But for me, when I went to the Nike camp, and of course you play people in your area, and you take little trips to Florida, you take little trips to New Orleans, you play other teams. But when you go to a place where they say the 110 of the top players in the nation,
right?
And you see all these guys doggone trees. And look, they talking about handling the ball. I mean, you had guys handling the rock then and shooting.
Right.
Like, God dang. 5'7" I say, man, I gotta be able to. I mean, if these are the type of guys I'm gonna be playing against, I gotta be able to put in some work and stand out, especially at my height. So that kind of, man, that being there at that camp, seeing all of those people like Liv and Alonzo Mourning, and I mean, you name, I'm like, man, it made me come back home. And you thought I was working before I came there. I started really working then.
Wow. What was you doing? You mind if I ask that? What was you doing? Putting up more jumpers?
Man, I was doing I'm dribbling the rock. I'm creating moves. I tell people that I train, I say, man, for every move, there's a counter. For every counter, there's a counter. And you're constantly building up on that. And so my thing was I'm constantly working on the fundamentals. They're all the fundamentals, the building blocks to what's advanced. You never want to not do that. But then you start adding combinations. You start envisioning 2, 3 different invisible people playing. And they're always super close to you, like nicking the ball type close. And you're trying to escape and create space with your imagination, which is impossible because your imagination is always on you. So, but my thing is, if I can create space with my imagination, no human being can stay with me like my imagination can. Wow, and so I'm reading, I'm even coming down and I'm in the park and I'm dribbling and I'm looking away and passing the ball and making sure that ball lands in an area in a line that I wanted to land in. I would have to go in the field, pick it back up and come back, and throw passes. And I'm working on that by myself. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So these are things that I would do. Then towards the latter part of the day, that's when people come out. They don't come out when it's hot. And when it's 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So when they came out and they coming out to play 21 and 5-on-5, I've already had about 4 or 5 hours of getting it in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this was daily, every single day, man. Rain, cold, and I'm just not saying that because it sounds good.
No, man, I believe it too, man.
I believe it too.
Because I witnessed some of that stuff, man, and that's what I was going to go to LSU when we had an opportunity to play you guys when I was at Illinois and you was at LSU, and I remember walking through the mall, man. I don't know if I told you this, my boy, but we was all as a team walking through the mall, and one of these guys came out the shop. He said, Chris Jackson, that's what he said. He said, Chris Jackson is the best thing since Pete Maravich to come through here. And man, we cracked up and started laughing, man. And the way his accent, that country accent came out, man, we was laughing, man. But Mahmoud, you gave my guys, man, the business, man. Like, and they admitted it. You know, Steve Bardo, and Kendall Gill. Kendall was like, man, I couldn't wait to Steve get on
him. Man, you guys came in. You guys had such a powerhouse, man. Not only did you have size, man, you had guys who could create their shot, who could run the doggone floor, who was athletic. There were 2 teams in the history of even though I had a great night of scoring with you guys, man, y'all I had to work. And I fouled out with 9 minutes left.
Yep. And you
I
had
like 27.
27,
yeah. I remember that game vividly. It still pisses me off. Because I'm like, I had 27, fouled out with 9, because y'all were just, not only were you big, but you were agile. You could shoot, you could put it on the floor, you could run the floor. And it's like, to stay with you guys and y'all would, when you have to switch and y'all put so much pressure, and of course players don't let you know this when you're playing, but man, I was tired. I mean, because you got to think about 6'5" or 6'6", 6'8", and you like trying to hold these guys. Then you got to come back down and you got to make a move because they're so big and they can move, and you got to use your quickness to get away from them to be able to get your shot off. I was just hoping that they wouldn't see that I was tired.
Wow.
But man, y'all, man, I said, God dang, I had 27. I fouled out with 9, and they whooped us. You know what I mean? It was humiliating. But man,
man, we was watching. I think it was either Georgia or Alabama. You gave them 50. What did you give them 50?
Well, Georgia, I gave 55. That's what I was gonna say earlier. Actually, you guys' team and the other team, man, that really, in terms of my Alabama was a team with Horry. They were also athletic, and man, you had to really work extra when you play games like that. No, so I didn't have 50 against Alabama, but they really made me work too, man. But you appreciate that, man. That type of stuff wakes you up.
Yeah. And also, Mahmoud, I want to congratulate you because I know LSU did just retire your jersey, right? Did they finally put your number up there? Yeah,
I appreciate it.
I mean, well overdue, though. Way overdue, man. That should have been happened, but, better late than never, right? So,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So I just want to congratulate you on that. And then now let's go to the NBA now. Because we just trying to knock all this stuff out, and then we'll end with you giving some advice to youngsters. But you get drafted, number 3, 3rd pick in the draft.
Yeah.
And me and you went through it together because we came in together, and having three different coaches, man, is hard to do. But tell us about, how you, first, getting drafted. How was you feeling? Or, did you have that chip on your shoulder that you knew you had to come in and prove something? Just walk us through, your draft process.
Man, you put in that much work. And now that day finally comes, man, you're super excited, man. And I mean, you know as well as I know, I'm sure your agent was telling you the possibility of where you're gonna go, but you never really know. So, there was this apprehension, man, and just uncertainty, like, okay, and nervousness. Like, yeah, now you gotta readjust and move to another city and get used to a whole nother environment. So that was a part of it too, man. And so I was definitely super excited about the opportunity. I'd heard I was going to be drafted to Denver, and that actually was something that came true. And yeah, I had a chip, but at the same time, man, I was listening to, now that I know it, the wrong advice. You have people telling you, hey, man, you got to be bulky. You got to be bigger. And so I didn't have a trainer, man. None of my life did I have people that trained me. I went out, I watched television. I took photo images of what I wanted, what I saw that I liked. And I tried to go out and make it my own on top of just trying to be creative. And I ended up gaining, man, coming in overweight, as you know. And coming in overweight, man, and with a system that Paul Westhead had, Mark. Ooh. Look, man, I've never heard of that. The day he said, and I don't know if you remember this, he said, we want to be the first team to average to score 200 points in a game.
Wow.
And then when he said this, has really killed it for me. Good dude, he has his own methodology, but he said, you have, how you say you have a first win and a second win? He was talking about you have a third win, a fourth win, and a fifth win. I'm like, man, if you keep having all of these wins, you're gonna be faster than Superman. At some point, and he was like, the more you work, the more you run, the faster you're gonna get. No, that ain't the way life works. The more you run, the slower you're gonna get. I knew we were in trouble. And so, man, I was depressed, Mark, because I was out of shape, man. I was in a city. I wasn't used to the snow. It was gloomy. Then I had a coach that I didn't think really wanted me because Doug Moe drafted for me. Then they fired him and brought Paul Westhead in. And then a lot, it was me too, because I didn't come in the shape that I was supposed to be, listening to wrong advice. So that first year, man, was I mean, it, man. I mean, it was difficult, man. And yeah, so I ended up seeing this article in a grocery store that said I was a bust. and that's what caused the switch to flip on. I said, oh no, I don't want to go out like that. Right. I got to do something to change it. So I started going that summer, man, putting in a lot of work in Cherry Creek Sporting Club. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's constantly, man. And I came back, eventually got the player of the year. I mean, most improved player of the year. And my career shifted as a result of that, man. But that was pretty much, I knew I kind of went into a lot of other stuff, man. But the draft, and the NBA, man, and Paul Westhead in those first years. And I know, I mean, man, you were there with us, man. That was a tough couple of years, man, going through that transition, being booed almost every night.
Yeah, man. Mahmoud, you know what kind of confused me with that team and with Paul Westhead's system? He said he wanted to run, but he always was playing, Orlando Woolridge, Walter Davis, the guys that wasn't as fast as me or you and Bacon or, so it kind of confused me. I don't know if he didn't want to step on no toes and that's why he did it, but
right.
That always mind boggled me, man.
Yeah. No, you're right.
And I'm not trying to knock on, coach system or anything like that, but me and you we're young, we had that energy, so, but yeah, man, so you played, how many years you played it with the Nuggets? Because I only got 3 years.
I played 6 years.
6 years, right? And then got the most improved player, did your thing, man. I remember with Nuggets when it was an all-star, I can't remember what year it was, and I said, man, you dunking standing straight up under the rim. I mean, you literally would stand up underneath the hoop and you did a 360 and you jump right up and you dunked. I said, Mahmoud, Chris, I said, man, you need to get in the dunk contest.
And I blame y'all for this to this day. Because, man, I had no interest. And I mean, I started dunking one year, man, and then your players would tell you, just like yourself, dunking in the dunking contest. I didn't even put my name in the hat. I think one of y'all put my name in the hat, and then eventually I said, man, I'm gonna just go ahead and go, because I wanted my time. You know, when it's All-Star break, if you ain't in the All-Star game, man, you're trying to take that time off and relax.
Yeah.
And so I ended up going, man, but my heart wasn't really in it. I did all my dunks in the warm-up. I was dunked out. You know what I mean? Tim Perry and I, we on the bench laughing. He was like, I said, what you gonna do? He said, watch and see what I do. You're gonna laugh at this. And I said, oh, you think that's something? I said, watch when I get out of there. But it was just, man. But yeah, I blame y'all for that, man. Yeah, but at the same time, I thank you, because I think I'm the first one in the history of the NBA to enter a dunk contest without ever dunking in the NBA games. So I'm in the history book.
Right. I read that, man. I read that earlier too.
But never dunked in the NBA game. Yeah.
But you can get up though, man. In practice, I was like, man, this little dude jumping up like that, just dunking it right up underneath the basket.
Hey, Liv, that's a Southern trait, bro.
Yeah, already.
All the brothers down there getting up. Can I jump in here real quick though? I was just reading up on something that Phil Jackson compared the likes of Steph Curry to the way that you play. What do you think about that?
Man, look, I'm super humbled and gracious for those type of comments, man. We're always gonna be compared to somebody else, and if there was anybody, man, that I love to be compared to, and there's some others as well. I'm definitely not upset about that comparison. No, I mean, you know, some people they got upset because they're thinking, man, he averaged. That's not what Phil was saying. Phil was talking about styles of play.
Right, that's what he was talking about.
Yeah, quick release, angles, getting your shot off, you know. And so, but you know, some people missed that. They took it personal. It's a different era now than it was then. I mean, now, man, guys, you know, there were certain players when we were coming up that had green lights, but shoot, man, the Golden State Warriors have a fluorescent light. and look, man, Leah, you guys have played basketball. You know it's a whole. The goal looks 2-3 times as bigger when you don't have coaches down your neck questioning your shot. You know what I mean? And you just literally, it's free. It's the movement is free. It's more harmonious. You get into your groove better, and it's just fun to watch, man. You know, it's just a different game. But I love I'm just grateful. I'm humble for the comparison, man. Just humble, because he can play.
Nah, but I think, Mahmoud, I watch you in practice, man. After practice, and I don't know if you remember this. We used to do some shooting after practice, and you would run off probably 50 in a row, and it's all net. We used to say
50 in a row.
He used to say stuff like, if it slipped, it don't count. Oh, that slipped, Liam. Oh, that slipped, Liam.
You know what, man? A lot of people. It's funny, you say that because my children now, my sons, they don't even, when I shoot a shot, if it rattles. If that slip, and they're counting, because I count my own buckets, but they'll be like, don't count. They don't even wait for me to say it don't count. They already know now. But yeah, you're right. You know, we have those days, man. We have those days.
Man, I really enjoy watching you shoot, man. Really, it's like an art, man. The way you pulled up so quick with that crossover, man. And you tried to teach me that move, man, and I just couldn't get it, man. I guess I was too long. My arms were too long or something, man.
You're too tall, Liv.
Yeah. I remember we used to get it in, man. We used to get it in, and I was always rooting for you, man, because you know I was going through it too. You know, being the third pick and then not really getting third pick minutes. You know, it does something to you, man. Especially after you've been putting in work. And then all the accolades that you've been getting coming out of high school and work that you did in college, man, and just to your heart. I wasn't one of those players that was shooting other people down and not wanting them to make it. I'm like, man, I want all of us to make it.
Right.
You know, and so I wouldn't say it to you then so much. I mean, I know we would, you know, have our little conversations here and there, man, but man, I was always rooting for you, man.
Yeah, man.
And, you know how it is. I mean, that's just life. Life happens all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree with you 100%, man. It was tough, man. It was real tough on me because I was hearing things just like you was hearing things, and I'm like, man, Marcus, he shouldn't have got drafted. He don't need to be in the league and this and that. And it was hurt. It was very hurtful, man. You know. And then I get that phone call that I'm packing my bags, ready to go to the Utah Jazz game, and they tell me I've been traded. You know, right before the game. I mean, I'm literally packed, about to go out the door, and they traded me. You know.
While you this is your first year, you're in a situation where you're confused. Now you're doubting yourself, you're questioning yourself. Man, that's a lot. It's a lot. Because look, I've said this a couple of times. During that same period, man, I'm third pick. Now, and I'm going through what I'm going through. I had literally contemplated, man. I'm like, man, I don't know if this is what I want to do. I was out of shape. I was depressed. I'm like, I really don't know if this, and I was contemplating giving the game up. But, you know, I just had, you know, that self-discipline, like, you know how when you cry as a man sometimes, right after you cry, you get mad, you cry?
Yeah.
Man, what I cry for? Right? You beat yourself in the chest, you get pissed off, and then you get moving.
Get back up.
Right. And so I kicked it. I said, no, man, I got to keep moving. I'm not doing this. But I had those moments, man. I had those moments. And I can imagine how many guys probably are having those moments year in and year out, man. Because you put your life into this, man. And we all try to take it. And a lot of us, we come from strapped socioeconomic backgrounds. So, man, this is like life or death for a lot of us.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. So man. So I always, man, I mean, we don't talk a lot, but when we do, it's always genuine, man. And I'm always have love for you, man. Wish you nothing but immense success, both of you. And I just want everybody to make it, man. Everybody to make it.
That's right.
That's real, man.
Yeah, that's real talk, man.
That's
so
real.
we gonna end with this, Mahmoud.
Hold on, Liv. Don't end yet, big guy. Hold on. Now. I want to ask him one more question. Right. The Last Dance. You got to just give us a little bit about that, just a little bit. What you take from that, big guy?
Well, man, you know what? I'm thinking that'll be a great conversation for next time. But just generally speaking.
Oh, he gonna come on next time?
Yeah. I love to, man. I mean, look, man. Look. You played in Jackson is enough for me. And the fact that Marcus and I have a history, man. Look, all you gotta do is call me. If I feel I got something to say, my doors are open all the time. And I try never to use my words loosely. If I say something, you know, I mean it. But no, I mean, it's entertaining, I'll tell you. I don't really watch. I always try to watch a lot of TV, and I try to be selective, man. But it's entertaining, man, to see, and it's generating a lot of questions. You know, some people are angry, some people are, it's just a lot, man. It's a lot, you know. And for the longest, there's been this thing with Jordan about his non-involvement in social and political issues, you know, because now the times are a little different. But, you know, even on the flip side, and not even getting into that right now, man, just a lot of the things, you know, when we were coming up, when we looked at Chicago and how much they were winning, we wouldn't have thought that it kind of, when you look at your situation, like, God, dog. I mean, you got Pippen and Jordan. They are like Jordan, marquee player. You have Pippen as his right-hand man. They're winning championships. And these guys have been getting underpaid for years.
Right.
Man, okay, that still, in a sense, don't have nothing to do with my agent and my contract. But that happened to them. I don't feel as bad.
Right.
but it speaks to the business of the NBA and truly valuing people that's putting that work in for you, man. And then on the flip side of that, even though he's making millions and millions in endorsements, but for him to still go out each and every night knowing he's underpaid and still put in that work, that says something to his character too. So there's so many angles, man, we can go on a positive note and possibly, a controversial note. But I think it'll be a great conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get you back on, man, and we'll get on that Facebook Live so we can get our people to chime in. But before we go, man, we always like to ask our guests to give some kind of advice to an up and coming basketball player who wants to get involved in this sport. you know, and just share a little bit of your, you know, what you think or how you think a player should go about, you know, trying to make it.
Well, I'm just gonna say something general and then try to give something specific, man. There's a quote by George Washington Carver, man, I keep with me. He says, "No one has the right to come into this world, then go out of it without leaving behind distinct and legitimate reasons for having passed through it." And so he said, in other words, that, you know, you want to leave a legacy worth leaving. And so with that said, that whatever you do, if basketball is what you want, man, you want to make it a lifestyle. Anytime you're trying to be great at something, right? And there's a great book, man, that I usually give to agents and I usually give to players. It's called Chop Wood, Carry Water, Falling in Love with the Process of Becoming Great. Small book. And every chapter, they're building upon different lessons. But we live in a society where we want, oftentimes, man, we want things to happen fast. We got fast food, fast information, and we want success to come fast. But it's never happened that way. And success has never been linear. It's always been the ebbs and flows, the challenges that we face. And so my thing is, man, whatever you do, you have to make it a lifestyle. You have to study it. You have to live. If you want to be great at it, you have to live and breathe. I tell a lot of NBA guys, college guys that I train, look, there's a difference from wanting to be great and wanting to be mediocre. If you want to be mediocre, that's you. I'm not here to argue. But if you're trying to be great, if you're not flirting with death and contemplate quitting, you're not working hard enough. You know what I mean? And so it's about being consistent. It's about challenging the boundaries. You know, it's not enough just to make a shot. Okay, now how do I want that shot to go in? Am I doing that shot game speed? Am I able to go and stop on a dime, change direction, go full speed and stop on a dime again? It's always, you know, is whatever's comfortable, making it, whatever's uncomfortable, making it comfortable. And going to those things. And man, there's so much that can be said, but I would definitely say, man, consistency, persistence, character. Man, you could be the greatest basketball player in the world, but if you got a terrible character, people don't like you, right? Nobody want to be around you. And character is just as important as developing skill. It can get you indoors. You know, I was training once, man. He's doing well now, Malcolm Brogdon.
Yep.
I trained him 2 years here in Atlanta, man. And that he had other trainers had their hands on him too. Because I would always tell people, don't just rely on me. You know, there's a whole bunch of people out there with information and knowledge. But Malcolm one time challenged me in a game. Very humble guy. We were at Fayetteville High School, and this happens often. You know, they look at you and you're old or older to them. And he's about 6'5". He said, "Coach, I think I can get you now." And I said, "Really?" But the tone that day was aggressive. That's the way I heard it. He said, "Man, you don't have it, Smoker. You washed up." I said, "Really?" And so I was offended because, man, he's such a humble guy, intelligent guy. I'm like, oh, man. I said, "Listen, all right." I said, "Let's play." And I don't normally talk like this, but now you didn't piss me off. So I gave him the ball, and I said, "We're going to go to 15. I said, "I'm going to beat you convincingly, but I'm not going to even try that hard, but I'm going to beat you convincingly." Gave him the ball. He missed his first shot. Man, when I say the first 13 of those shots that I took probably didn't hit net, and I was taking it between his legs, I was doing all this stuff, and I was just using angles, not necessarily enormous speed at the time. And I beat him 15-0. He sat down. He was mad. And as I'm sitting there, I said 3 things to him. I said, "Look, man, let me say something to you." And I was very calm. I said, "Malcolm, never in your life insult me. Don't do that." I said, "Number 2, I said, never underestimate who you're playing against." I said, "You don't know what a guy can be holding back from you. You don't know the type of day that guy can have. He can just have the upper hand that day." And I said, "Number 3, always never lose sight of humility." I said, "Being humble will get you farther in life than not any day." And so after that, man, he never asked me to play one-on-one again, but he would say, "Coach, I think I can get you now," but he would say it with a smile. You know, but my point was, look, man, you can't lose sight of being humble. No matter how great your game is, no matter how many times you score,
And God can look, whatever you had today can be taken away from you tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah.
And so that's just as important, Liv. And I'm always conveying.
Man, hey, we have to end on that one, man. Mahmoud, man, I enjoyed this. Man, we gonna still put this out. We gonna still try to put this out. But man, we gotta get you back on, man, so our viewers can actually see you, man, and have some comments, because I know they're gonna have some comments they wanted to ask. But I enjoy having you on All Ball Chicago, man. Me and my man, my co-host, Bobby Reed, Jackson, Mississippi alum. He was excited, man, and I was excited too, because I know, we came in together and did a lot of great things. So big ups to you, man. Wish you well. And give a shout out to All Ball before you get up out of here, man. All Ball Chicago.
Hey, shout out to All Ball Chicago, man. Much love to y'all. Much success always, man.
My man.
Love Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, my man.
That's right.
Cross over, pull up panties. Walk your bucket, baby. We up out of here. Love, Liv.
Love, man. Love you, man.
Love. All right, fellas.
All right. Peace.